Hi, I'm Jane Close, President of California State University, Long Beach. Welcome to this episode of No Barriers from BeachTV. This is a show we produce to show the strategies that we use to enrich our students' lives and keep them on a path to success. In previous episodes, we've examined growth mindset and how that adds to academic resilience. We've also looked at our basic needs program as a way to reduce barriers of food insecurity, housing insecurity, and financial concern. We've explored our academic advising, a high-tech, high-touch approach, and how that is keeping our students on path to timely graduation and to actually reach their dreams, their professional and personal dreams. Today, I'm really excited to be able to introduce professionals from our Career Development Center. This is an area that we offer, these are services we offer to our students so that we can get them thinking about their future careers and offer training to them so that they're more ready to enter either the workforce or through internship services. So today, I'm joined by three of the best people from the Career Development Center. Erin Booth-Caro, Director of the Career Development Center. Welcome, Erin. Rosa Trujillo, who's a career counselor and liaison to our College of the Arts. And Daniel Carlos, internship job developer and member of our employer engagement team. So welcome. Really excited to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Well, Erin, could you start out and tell us about the Career Development Center. How many people do you have there? Where are you located? Just the general, nuts and bolts of it.
Sure, yeah. So we're located in Brotman Hall, 250, so second floor of Brotman Hall. And the center has a staff of 23. We're in the process of hiring 2 more right now, so we'll be at 25. And then within that, we have several teams. And so we have our career counseling team, which Rosa is representing today. We have our employer engagement team, as Daniel's representing. And then we also have grad business career services. We have Workability 4, which is a program aimed at helping students with disabilities reach their employment goals. And we also have a passport application acceptance office that we have in our lobby. So we're helping people process their passports as well. So that's a little bit about who's in our office. Yeah. And I can't forget our office operations team. And so they're really our foundation, the fiscal support, technology support, administrative support to our office. Mm-hmm.
Daniel, did Erin miss anything?
No,
she got it all.
That's everybody.
Okay, that's good. So how would you describe your, maybe Rosa,
yes.
How would you describe the mission of what you do and what the center is all about?
So in terms of career counseling, I think our mission is to help students kind of explore that career journey. And then kind of the mission within the Career Development Center, I would say, is to empower those students through our services, through connections, through, again, just supporting them in whatever that journey might be for them, whatever stage they might be in. We're just there to support. So I would say that's probably at the core of what that mission is, that empowerment, that ability to support students in any way, shape, or form. So.
I'm going to come back and ask you more about stages because I think that's interesting. But
yes.
What would you add, Daniel or Erin, to the mission of Career Development Center?
I mean, what comes to mind is really providing opportunities for employers to connect with students and then students to connect with employers and make it a mutually beneficial experience where they can really learn from each other. Employers, we create opportunities where they can really share experiences, share what their journey was, how they got to where they are, even as alumni or professionals now, so that students can then see, oh, I can make it, I can get there too. So we try to do that in various ways, and I think that's a part of the mission, is creating a lot more access for employers to connect with students and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just, here's a phone call, but it sounds like you have alums and maybe others coming and talking about their career journey.
Yeah, in many different ways, through panels, through information sessions, through all kinds of things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Anything to add about mission?
Sure. I mean, the other piece I was thinking is just in regard to the ever-changing workforce. As the needs are changing in our workforce, we're really doing a lot of professional development of our staff to help make those connections, but figure out what do our students need to be successful.
Yeah, that is a rapidly changing workforce or work landscape, and then how do we make our students ready to keep learning, really. Yeah. I've read somewhere that people can expect to have 7 or 8 different maybe even professions, not just different jobs.
Right,
yeah. So I noticed that one of your mantras is explore, prepare, and connect. Can you say a little bit more about what that means, or what the specific activities are that are associated with explore, prepare, and connect?
Sure, and you guys can fill in. But if we explore, so that has a lot to do with major and career exploration. And so we work with students all the way from the beginning of their college experience, so freshman year. So it might be in a partnership with the University Academic Advising Center, or it might be in a class, EOP 100, or Counseling 191, or in a counseling appointment, but just to really do assessment. Who are they? You know, who is the student? As they're figuring that out, what careers are of interest to them. So we do formal assessments, but we also do just through a counseling, you know, really through conversation and exploration. So there's the assessment piece, the research piece, you know, so obviously just knowing what are the options, you know, and that includes what are our majors that we have here, but not limited to that, right? What are minor certificates, even outside of the university? Are there other things they need to supplement? And then making that decision, and that's the really challenging part. So once they have the information, they're beginning to figure out who they are, starting to narrow down what these options are, and through experimentation and exposure to class, to internships, volunteerism, acquiring that experience. So that's really what that explore piece is all about. Yeah.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt, but
No.
I was thinking of your comment earlier, Rosa, about stages.
Yes.
So it sounds like you might get young people as your clients, or students as your clients, who I've wanted to be a fill in the blank since I was 4 years old, but there might be others, right, who are still, even though they're here now, and at the university, are still wondering. Is that what you meant by stages?
Yeah, so with stages, and I mean, exactly as you described it, we have students that come in and will know, I'm going to be a nursing student from the get-go. They even come in with their story of, you know, my mom's a nurse, my dad always supported me in this process. And then you have students who are like, I have no clue what I'm about to do, and I'm here because I just want help. And so, as Erin mentioned, we have assessments, we have those really deep conversations on those one-on-one appointments that we have. So those are the ones that I think are like my favorite, just because it's, I think for the first time for students, a space where they can explore like even that question. And I've had students in the past tell me, well, I've actually been scared to tell my parents and to tell my family that I don't know what I'm doing. This transition into college is adulthood. So they are expected to have the answer Thanksgiving dinner to explain their 5-year plan. And so I think one of my favorite phrases I get to tell students is, it's okay. It's okay not to know, that's why you're here. And let's just explore and ask that question if you could. What would be that possibility? What would be that major? What are the things that maybe you didn't explore in high school that now you have a chance with student orgs or with classes or with like even conversations with professors that you find fascinating? Let's start there. So yeah, I have at every stage and point, I also have seniors who come in and will say, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so again, for the rest of their lives. So debunking that myth that one, your career doesn't dictate, your major doesn't dictate your career, but
That's a very important point.
Oh,
isn't
yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's where students are like, oh, I'm like, yeah, you could be a fashion student who loves entertainment. Let's connect you with a resource where you can get internships in there. There's so many companies out there that say we accept all majors. So just to open that up for students and to see their eyes say, oh my God, I can actually dream and experiment, and this is the time to do so. I think that's one of my favorite things that I can do.
Well, it sounds like it'd be very important to the students. And then prepare. Now, we've heard a few things about internships and maybe other service learning or volunteer things. Are there other aspects to preparing the student for future careers that we haven't talked about?
I would say, like, in terms of activities or workshops, so we have workshops on resume, cover letter, networking, negotiating your job salary.
Very
And then we also have our drop-in service. So that's something that a lot of our students don't know. You can come in between 11 to 4:30, have a 15-minute drop-in where you have your resume checked. So those are areas where we can help prepare our students just with those physical documents. I would also say any partnering events that we have with anybody on campus and just referring to each other. I would say those are things that we help prepare our students. And then technology-wise, our website, we do carry resources where we have sample resumes, sample cover letters, and we tell students you have access to that 24/7. So you don't have to wait for our doors to open. You can actually access that whenever you need to.
So you guys have the high-tech approach as well,
Oh,
as well as the high-touch.
yeah, definitely.
Say a little bit more, and maybe this would be you, Daniel, about the connecting. I think you mentioned about employers coming on campus, alums. Are these job fairs or actual interviews? What's it like for the student?
Yeah, so I mean, job fair is probably the most visible one that we have. We always have them in the ballrooms in the USU. The last one that we had almost 2,000 students attend, so that's a lot of activity and a lot of students facing and wanting to meet with employers. We also try to get creative with how we do that too, so we'll do some things with partner with student organizations to do like mock interviews. But we'll have employers come in and take up all of our interview spaces in the Career Development Center and schedule interviews where they're coming in and just getting all those nerves out, all the things you're not supposed to say in an interview. Do it there, right? Because you don't want to do it when you're actually having the employer in front of you.
You'll have to give me some hints on that.
Yeah. But I think that's a really important way to connect, or for students to prepare and connect in all of the words that we're saying, is creating those spaces where they have the stuffiness of a real interview, all those things, all the nerves can get sort of done in the safe part of what we do with employers, so that they are more confident when those opportunities do present themselves.
So it sounds like what you do really relates closely to the name of this program, No Barriers. So you're removing the barriers of, I've never written a cover letter before, I don't know what a resume looks like, or I don't know how to contact employers. Do you see that's the package that makes you successful, or tell me more about why you're successful?
I mean, from my experience in my role working with employers, I used to be a recruiter before I came onto the Career Development Center, and I remember that every campus is very different, and there's no one way to recruit. And there's a lot of ways to do information sessions or to do on-campus interviews, and all those come with a cost. And even just yesterday, I spoke with an employer who was a small business. They had 10 employees, and they really wanted to get a dietitian, which is a major that doesn't get a lot of attention from our campus. And we offer information sessions, which is free of charge. All of our job postings are free of charge. So that is no barrier for the employer to access our students, and the students can have the free services to get the job postings in front of them. That was kind of just the first example that comes to mind as far as no barriers, because other campuses will charge for information sessions and these events and these programs that we offer.
So all of our stuff is free to our students?
Except for job fairs, but yes, most of our stuff is free.
Yeah. Well, tell me more about the website. This sounds like a real resource for our students to be able to click on and find who's looking for them, huh?
Well, Career Link, Career Link is our main way for students to access all of our services, and so it has the job listings, but so on the employer side, they are able to post on-campus interviews, post their jobs, sign up for job fairs, everything's kind of in one space, and then it's the same for the students. And in addition, they can request a counseling appointment, they can also RSVP for a workshop, but they can see every activity that's going on in the Career Center is posted on Career Link for them to access, which is on single sign-on, which is awesome because it's right when with everything else, they're going to Beachboard for a class, they can see Career Link right there too. And it has access to additional tools, which Rosa was talking about. For example, Interview Stream, so students can practice their interview through Interview Stream. It's there through Career Link, the Candid Career, the small interviews with alumni from Cal State Long Beach and also across the country. And so there's a lot of resources there. Optimal Resume, which has sample resumes for them, and also a tool to help craft their own. So we're trying to make sure everything's there at their fingertips as they're ready and need help on whatever area that is related to career development, that there's something that can assist them right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
So how do we make that known to employers? That seems like a huge messaging and marketing effort.
Absolutely. And I think that's something for employers and students, that's something, that's our biggest challenge, right? Is just constantly trying to get the messaging out there of who we are and what we do. And I think our employer engagement team, they do that, and you add in, but obviously one-on-one as there's contacts coming in, but also as they're out in the community networking, going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings, the economic forums, you know, different industry-specific events. And so they're out and engaging with the local community, also just to inform them about our services and how we can connect them with students here to meet their recruitment goals.
I need to get some of your cards to carry around with, because I have to share with you that one of the most common things I hear as I'm out in the community is our people are interested in our students or in our programs, but they're not quite sure how to make that first connection. Now, if they have a relationship with somebody, they know you, then they call you and you kind of herd them where they belong to go. But I think it is a huge challenge.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to say also that you mentioned having aspirationally 25 people very soon, but we have 38,000 students.
Yes.
So that's a big task, isn't it? How do you manage? I mean, obviously you have some electronic and digital tools to work, but how many students do you see in a day? Or you said 2,000 came into a fair. That's a good way to kind of touch a lot of ones, but yeah.
So through career counseling and kind of appointments, and in that setting, we see over 5,000 in that way. We see over 10,000 through classroom presentations and also our workshops or career education events that we call. And so that's another big way that we see our students. And then even just access to CareerLink, we have over 28,000. Their students, recent alumni can also access all of our services that first year after graduation, so they're included in that too. And we also do have alumni services after that by subscription if students are interested in a 1 year being able to access all of our online tools, or if they want online and in person. But that's a big number that even are just accessing, and that's more than one login. They've done 3 or more to CareerLink, and so 28,000 are just getting onto our site and kind of accessing our services that way.
28,000.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good percentage of our 38,000 students. Well, so far we've talked about kind of how you're organized in terms of career counseling and employer engagement, and of course your office team and your passport services. I'm very happy about that. I got my passport there too. And also what you're offering students is rather varied. You have individual assessment, deep conversation, but also online explorations, workshops, career fairs that are really big for both employers, potential employers, and our students. So I can see the high tech and the high touch in this as well. So when we come back, we'll take a break now, but when we come back, maybe you could talk to me about some of the next steps you see, about how we could keep improving, both in the optimal size of a career development center, but other things that are out there that might enhance your ability to interact. So stay with us. We'll be back soon talking about our Career Development Center at Cal State Long Beach.
Ever heard of the world's most amazing toy? Uber sticks? I mean, check it out. The Eiffel Tower, the Golden Gate Bridge, cars, and robots are all amazing feats created by mechanical engineers. You know, you could become a part of this creative field with a degree from Cal State Long Beach.
Welcome back to No Barriers. I'm Jane Close, president at Cal State Long Beach, and I'm here with 3 of our professionals from our Career Development Center, and we're talking about how their work adds to the success of our students. I have Erin Booth-Caro, director, Rosa Trujillo, a career counselor, and Daniel Carlos, an internship job developer. I've thought that increasingly I've thought that internships are vital for our students. What are you finding? Are we able to get more students, and what do the students say about it? And what's your view of the importance of internships for future job prospects?
Well, it's a big question, and I think we're all working on how to really define how to answer that entirely, but there's definitely no question that it is vital to, I think, any student's future to being a professional in the global workforce. It's about clearly aligning that we find the right employers that have truly thoughtful and meaningful internship experiences, so that when a student comes out, it's not just pushing paper and getting coffee. So we do a really thorough job of vetting any employer that posts a position for one. We're very concerned and aware of what we expect student experience to go through, so we do that in the job postings. And then I will have conversations with employers that say, I want to hire an intern, where do I start? So it's really about starting that relationship, setting expectations, how is this experience going to be mutually beneficial, so that we have sort of a clear understanding that when we do say this employer is here to hire interns, the student is going to get a good experience out of it. So we really try to do a lot with sharing with our campus champions that are in the colleges and know the student majors a lot better than maybe we do, because we are one career center. We're not in the academics as much. So that's how we try to share the internship opportunities with students. We can always do more as far as bringing other employers in. We have a list that I've worked on with some of my team and my student assistants about what are those top internships out there? Why aren't they here at Cal State Long Beach? What can we do to get them to come and post on our career link? So yeah, we're going to constantly do that and try to always see with our employers that are getting low applicants, what's going on, what can we do differently? Do we have to look at the job posting? Are you not getting the right student audience? So it's a constant work in progress, but we think it's going to be the most important because it's all about experience when students try to get that job, and I think an internship is kind of the best way to get that experience. Mm-hmm.
I think that having some real experience in different professions would really help clarify some of the things that you brought up earlier, Rosa. Is this really for me? I have been a dean of education, and I help facilitate a program where teachers or prospective teachers had immediate first-year experience in classrooms, because I had observed, even though I haven't been a classroom teacher myself, that some of them got to student teaching and went, this is not for me. So absolutely. I think this really can help clarify some professional goals, and I'm really excited to hear that this is a kind of mutual commitment between us and the employer, that we're not just sending our students out to do menial tasks that really will not introduce them. So I think that's a really important mark of quality that we're doing. Can you say, you mentioned the different majors and the faculty, what's your relationship to faculty advisors or the different majors? How does that enhance your work? What does it look like?
It's a critical part of our work, and Rosa can speak, but as she mentioned before, she's the liaison of the College of the Arts, and so we have a liaison, a career counselor that's a liaison to each of the colleges, and so that really helps in our relationship building. And what that means is their charge is to do outreach in that college, to really connect with the faculty, connect with the students, but our career counselors are not limited to only seeing those students. They're still generalists, so they still see everyone, but yet they have a targeted focus to do outreach in that college. And then our employer engagement team, they're not as formally assigned, but they partner up with a couple of the career counselors, and so they also end up having somewhat of a focus and engaging with the faculty as well, especially if an employer is visiting and we want to connect them with faculty, with the counselor, with our employer engagement team. So we'll often bring these different components in to talk about the different aspects that will be important to the employers. They can connect with the right students and really talk about what the learning experience will be and how to formulate that.
I've been aware of a special program in the College of Liberal Arts to help those students who are often in majors that's not an obvious, clear, linear path. They're not on the engineering path or the teaching or the health professional nursing path. So have you been involved in that at all, that work?
Yeah, we've done. Well, we partner together in that our events and so forth, they do a lot of the promotion of our job fairs and different events as employers come out. And then they've done work like Internship Fridays, for example, where they do special educational events for all the students in internship classes. And so we've had our internship coordinator participate in that as well, and maybe talk about LinkedIn or how to promote themselves or make the best of their experience. And so we've been engaged in that portion of it, and just kind of partnering on some of the events that we have to bring in. Anytime we have an employer that's also interested in liberal arts, right, we reach out to them as well and bring them on board, and even sometimes co-host of employers in different events.
Many of the faculty in liberal arts would say we're not training a student for or educating a student for a particular job, but I've heard from employers that the skills that we hope our liberal arts students gain by spending 4 years with us are very important. Critical thinking, a great work ethic, the ability to be skeptical about things if necessary. Have you heard that from employers or seen it yourself?
Absolutely, even from research as well. I think as we talk more about the future of work and automation, we're relying more on these skill sets, these soft skills, that our students have. And I think that's a big part of what we do too when we talked about prepare and how do we prepare students. And we don't take this on as ourselves as a career center. Obviously, they're here to get their degree and they're learning so much from their faculty, from their on-campus involvement. There's so many components to the university. But we play a key role in that, and really in our counseling and in our workshops and events, referring students to be able to participate. We might recommend, let's work on your leadership skills. Are you involved in student organizations? What more can you do? What else are you interested in where we can apply these skill sets? And so we're really helping to prepare the students to and develop these skill sets and create a path for them, a journey and kind of stepping stone so they can see that development and use that as they proceed to their career.
So they can see that the skills they have really do prepare them for a wide array of possible professions. And you mentioned it earlier, I think, Rosa, that the major is not necessarily the job. And it's ironic to me that with increasing automation, so more technology, that these softer skills, in a way, oral presentation, writing, work ethic, remain a really foundational element. And I think that's important for students to know, and maybe even more important for their parents to know, because I know the students sometimes feel some special pressure. Everybody's got to go into STEM. You've got to be an engineer or be in the medical profession. Something that occurs to me, and I've seen this as a potential criticism or a good thing that higher ed does, is that do we align how we prepare students with the work sectors that are out there? So the hottest work sectors in our area, for example, are health, a lot in entertainment, financials, things like that. So are you guys connected to those work sector kind of clusters and are able to tell students about that? Or how does that work? Because I think most students don't think that way about what's out there.
Yeah, with our liaisonship, we are. I think the other thing too is, and you kind of mentioned it in the beginning, the first gen experience. Our faculty prepare our students so well, but I think, and I also identify as first gen, to name those skill sets is sometimes difficult and new, and it's the first time we do so. So I think part of our success as a career center is we create pauses. Just as we have students coming in from commuting from 2 or 3 different jobs, internships, coming into class, then heading back out, I think our programming, our workshops, those moments where we have our employers connect with students, that is a pause that is needed for students to actually think about, this is a skill I have been developing in class, this critical thinking skill. And I think going back to your question about are we connected to those sectors, in my liaisonship, even though I am a generalist, I serve all our students, but I do investigate and see what are the resources out there for College of the Arts students, both our visual and performing arts. What are the things that students may not know about that I can connect them with, whether it's an internship opportunity or a networking opportunity where they get to know more about the industry. And that's not just for our College of the Arts students, but again, I've had students from across different colleges, STEM students, an aerospace engineer who came to me who said, I would love to be in graphic design. So I connected them with internships. I'm like, yes. So, and in terms of a career counselor, we do our research, not only in our liaison role and liaison college, but also across all the colleges. So we can connect better with not only industry and their needs, but also to make students aware that those are the needs, so and making those connections. Yeah,
it's such an interesting thing that, and you mentioned first gen, meaning the first in their family, perhaps to come to the university, and they may be particularly unaware of how the university works, and then really wouldn't have a word to label critical thinking or oral presentation skills. So that's important. It's really good to be able to, I think, index your skills, because then you can talk about them to others. Well, what's next in the Career Development Center? What are the things you're dreaming about doing or unique programs that you're considering, and they could be in the dream stage. So I'd love to know.
One of the things I wanted to bring up as Rosa was talking, and with your question, I think, in how do we connect industry with campus and prepare our students, is we want to work on that more, right? So we already have our employer engagement team and then our career counselors making these connections, going to events to learn what's happening in those industries, what these employers are looking for in their workforce and new employees. But we've been working on our strategic plan in the Career Center, and one of the areas that we talk about is creating more of this co-learning space where we can bring together more, and we do it already, but we want to do it on a bigger scale, is bringing together our faculty with our team, with different partners on campus and with employers, and in one space really just talking about what's happening and how are we preparing our students, where are other areas we need to focus on. And I think, again, these things are happening around the campus, and I know our departments are also closely aligned with industry and having these conversations, but I think they're happening separately in different places, and I think if we can come together and be on the same page and really have dialogue around these topics, it would be great for our students and for future direction, for our center, but also for our university, and how we kind of bridge these communities.
I think that's really very important. I'm a big fan of each of the colleges having an advisory group in order to keep all of us, me and faculty and staff members, current to what is needed out there, and also to be able to show what we have to offer there. Because without that conversation, it's possible to fall into the you're in the ivory tower kind of thing. But the advisory groups very rarely include students. So the students don't really see that going on. So I really love the way you're talking about a broader way to pull things together that way. Yeah, that's really something worth certainly pursuing. Yeah. Yes. What else do you see happening in the next few years in the career development?
I mean, a dream that I think I would have is, often we get employers that come to our campus because they want to hire the diverse talent that we have. It's kind of a buzzword, so I think that's one of the valuable things that I think working on this campus provides, is really what it means to have a diverse campus and what that looks like. I tell employers, you spend 5 seconds on campus and it'll speak for itself. But I think something that we need, what I would like for us to do, or even the employer engagement team, is to educate the employers on what that really means, and how, in a student that is in this diverse environment of campus, when they go into the workforce, how are they going to be prepared? How is the company going to prepare the student to be comfortable in that workforce? So I would love to, and this might be the first time my director's hearing it, but
that's why we have these meetings, Daniel.
Have these workshops where we teach, we have all of our allied trainings, but I would like to offer that to employers. So that's something I think would be amazing. I think that will help in so many ways.
We're such a natural source for that because of who we are. I think I love the idea of workshops, though, because it's what we've learned, I know, is that it's not just having the demographics of here come these diverse students, gee, we're successful, but it's really how do we change, how do we make use of that diversity, and there's increasing research showing in science and in other disciplinary fields that a diverse team, whether it's diversity from ethnicity, gender, other differences we might have in terms of sexual orientation or identity, name it, veteran status, the whole list. Having those differences around the table actually lead to better bottom line outcomes for companies. But I think people have to learn how to use that, because they might think, well, I need a brown or black face, but I want you to be just like all the others and not add something different. So I think you're really onto something. I'm glad you told your director. Right now, yeah. What about you? What's on your mind in terms of next steps over the next 2, 3, 5 years?
For me, I think that partnership with more of academic advising, and I think we're starting that with our kind of working with partners on campus. So when students are arriving on campus and they have that academic advisor, they know the technical side, this is how I declare a major, but having that partnership with our center where it's so seamless that students feel that it's now part of the culture, that they're like, just as I know that I need to go to my academic advisor for classes, I can also go to the Career Center to make that connection. So I'm really excited to to think of what those future projects can look like. And I would have to say, at least with College of the Arts, I'm in depth with like the partnerships I've made, because I can clearly see that students are coming into the Career Center and like, I've heard of you because of my academic advisor, because of my faculty member. And I think that to me would be the perfect goal, that we become so part of the culture that it just becomes so natural for students to think of the Career Development Center as part of the process. So, yeah.
Well, certainly in the show we did previously with academic advisors, they talked a lot about you guys.
Oh, perfect.
Because they've embraced the notion that this really enhances a student's commitment to progress and to understand the relevance. And so the dream is happening, at least at the staff level now, but of course getting the message out to 38,000 of our students is quite a challenge.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. And they're one of our partners we really rely on. We're piloting this semester even a more smooth referral process. So even once the advisors refer over to us, that we kind of write back and share what happened, and so that way there's a continuous loop of being able to care for our students. It is really important to us.
It's so often that it's when the kind of adults get their acts together and they share information and they're not operating in silos that we find ways to leverage, because everything on this campus is somewhat under-resourced, to be sure. So we've mentioned communication as a big challenge, and I completely share that with you. I'm always amazed at how hard it is to get a message out. What are some of the other big challenges that you see today and on the horizon?
One of the things that I think would be great for our campus, and there's pockets of things happening to already learn about this, but as we focus more on where our students are going and having that information, and there's more technologies now making that easier for us to gather, and we do have pieces of that, but that's something I'm really interested in gaining a more clearer picture on, and I think it will help our students to see and make those connections as well, create mentorships and so forth, and kind of relationships and internship opportunities, but to be able to have a clearer picture of where our students go and what their journey is after they leave.
Well, thanks. This has been very informative to me, and we have another section to go where I'd like to explore some of the more unique and probably things that people don't understand about what goes on in a career counseling center. So we'll be back in just a little while as we present our No Barriers show with this episode about Career Development Center.
Make a difference in someone's life. Teachers, principals, and guidance counselors can have an enormous impact on students' lives. Be that person. Be the inspiration to empower others to be the best that they can be. You can become a part of this exciting field with a degree from Cal State Long Beach.
Welcome back. I'm Jane Close, president of Cal State Long Beach, and today I'm here with professionals from our Career Development Center. So I wanted to get right back into it because there's things that are going on in the Career Development Center that I think lots of people don't know anything about. For example, can you talk about e-portfolios and what are those, and how do the students interact with it, and do they work with employers? What goes on with e-portfolios?
So this is a project we've been focusing a lot of attention on at the last year, but e-portfolios are really a way for students to demonstrate their skill sets and share those, and also even begin to collect those early on, beginning even freshman year. They can collect this information and then display it as they choose. And so we've been working with some of the technology we have here on campus, like through Beachboard. So even through their Beachboard site they're already using for classes, they can collect information there and then present it to employers. And they can also use it, of course, as juniors and seniors as they're ready to get their internship. But that was really the premise behind that, is to help our students succeed in reaching their goals of getting internships, getting their full-time employment, and being able to showcase their skill sets. And they can do that through multiple technologies. Beachboard is one of the ones that we've been promoting, but there's a lot of different technologies out there. LinkedIn is another tool we would even consider an e-portfolio for students to be able to share their skill sets and be able to network network. And in regard to how employers are involved, that's been a really important component for us. We wanted to know how are employers reacting to these e-portfolios, what information are they utilizing, and so we do ask our employers as we work with them, what they're seeking, what skill sets they're looking at, and then we also and we survey them even when they come to the job fair. We ask our employers what skill sets are most important to you, and so we can share that with our students for them to be able to demonstrate that. And
So
oh yeah.
let me interrupt just a moment. So what might be an artifact in an e-portfolio? What might a student be putting in there? Would it be a paper that they'd written, or if they're in art, your liaison target, is it a performance? What are some of the examples that would be on a thumb drive that I might hand a potential employer?
And all of those things, and I think art's a really great example that Rosa can talk more about, but definitely a paper, an article, it could even be a video of them, a presentation, so it's really almost anything that they're producing in their class that shows evidence of their skill sets and their work that they're doing. Do you want to talk about it in regard to art and what a portfolio looks like?
Yeah, and again, that could look very diverse for the visual and performing arts. But what I would say too about, just very quickly, and we kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier, is having students understand what the skill is and actually having a concrete example. And that skill set, I mean, we're talking about it in terms of the resume that we can tell students, you're saying you're a critical thinker, how are you showing that? But now through a more digital way, like e-portfolios, we are now making that connection with the student. So the student can now see visually, this is how I'm actually telling the employer I'm making critical skill sets, or I'm being a team player, not just saying it on the resume, not just saying it in the interview, but now learning the process of this is how I can showcase it. And I would even say as a career counselor, that's probably one of the most areas of growth all students kind of have to work in, making that connection. So for the arts, yes, for School of Art, they have their portfolios. We think of Behance, we think of them creating their own websites to showcase. We think of film and creating their own reel, and looking at that and seeing that a lot of employers are using visual components now to look at the work and actually make those connections with the claims that they're saying in their resume or in the interview.
Okay. So employers are using that. I've heard something about artificial intelligence being used by employers, recruiters, and you were a recruiter. Can you talk a little bit about how AI and resumes and e-portfolios might be coming together?
Yeah, so it's really fascinating actually. They are, from what we've seen in our research, is that an employer will now use how Skype or other video screens to not only interact with the potential candidate, but what they're also doing is scanning the facial features to see if they're being genuine in their responses. So whether an eyebrow's lifted or a smirk of the lip is going up, they're determining again, if they're being genuine in their responses. So that's, how do we prepare for that, right? So we're trying to do more with phone interviewing and those things to prepare for that. Like, what does the back of your screen look like? Is there a poster that's inappropriate? All those things that I think students aren't thinking about. Something that we have to prepare for because of what's going to be coming down the pipeline. Even with automation, when I was going through resume after resume physically, that's now being done through a digital way where they're scanning keywords that match the job description. So we have to make students prepared to look at a job description and make sure that the words that are on the job description match your resume, so that it just goes through a scanner. So it's not a physical person looking over it, it's being automated. So we're trying to get ahead of what those things are going to be so we can better prepare our students for what's to come.
That's really fascinating. I think that I'm a little worried about that facial recognition stuff, but
we are too.
But this scanning of the resume, I can see that would tell me that one size doesn't fit all, that I really have to be showing myself for that job, not just any generic job. And that's a good lesson for life in many, many ways. Yeah, but another interesting way that the Career Development Center is keeping our students up to date with what's happening. I also know that you've talked about digital badges, and that's even a little bit more higher ed speak maybe, and I'm not sure other people recognize what that is. Can one of you tell me what a digital badge is and how are we using those?
Yeah, and so that's another newer project of ours. And so with the digital badges, we're really focusing on another way for students to display their skill sets and for employers to recognize them, for them to stand out and demonstrate those skills. And so these digital badges, they're different forms. Some are very informal, and you hear about badging more in the terms of gamification. Oh, if you do this, you get that, and I think of it almost as a sticker. But digital badging, what we're doing, it's actually verified. And so there's evidence not only that they got this, but really the rationale when someone clicks on it about why and what they did to earn that badge. So really being more of a credential, something that's proven. And so that's how we were using digital badging. And so we used it within internship classes and working with internship faculty. And so as the students were out in their internship environment, we focused on specific skill sets. Teamwork was one, leadership was another. And so the students, through their internship experience, would be evaluated. Also evaluated by their supervisor too, to see did they earn those badges. So not everybody that was in that class automatically earned that badge. It was through an evaluation of their skills and their experience. And this is something we've also done focus groups with employers around to see, are you interested in these badges? What do you think of these? And employers were really interested to have a quick way for them to identify a skill set from a student. These soft skills are sometimes hard to identify on a resume, on even in a portfolio. It's an example, but this is another way to really demonstrate that and for a candidate to be able to stand out quickly to them.
Makes it a more robust statement, doesn't it? So you've mentioned teamwork and leadership as two potential badges. Are there others?
So we started with only those badges now, but we are looking to grow. One that we're focused on is the career management badge, even as an incentive for our students. And so as they go through our workshops, network with employers, they can also earn a career management badge, really that they've taken steps to really learn how to move forward on their career journey. And so that's one that we're also doing as a co-curricular experience.
I've asked our student development, student affairs division to really look at that as it relates to participation in student orgs, organizations, because so many of our students, I think we have 350 student organizations, and I'm a great believer that they can be a source of important learning, event management, for example, marketing, all those things like that, but the assessment of it is the tough thing, isn't it? Yeah. But giving students an avenue to talk about themselves to potential employers seems like a really vital skill that you're giving them. I'm also aware, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about some of these numbers, but you have reviewed just in the last year over 2,600 resumes. That's a lot. What's the most common kind of mistake or lost opportunity that you find when you review resumes?
That is my favorite topic.
Oh, good.
I think not fully developed bullet points. And I know we keep talking about student stories and student skill sets, and that's where the beauty of counseling and advising come together. Sometimes I have students who disqualify a volunteer opportunity, but they've done event management, they've contacted important people, developed skill sets, and so I just see helped in events. And it's like, what did you do in those events? And just that probing process. So to me, that's like the number one thing I probably dwell the most in with students, really extracting what is that story that you want to tell the employer, and them realizing, I do have these skill sets. And I think, again, it comes from that first gen experience where you think you want to be humble and you don't want to brag, but no, it's actually stating what you did. And it's looking at your story, your personal brand, and even going to those conversations. I think that's the number one thing I do see.
That you see in the resume.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So a personal brand.
Yeah.
I don't often hear that expression. So this is part of teaching our students, who are they? What are people getting? What can they count on if you hire me?
Absolutely.
In terms of that understanding of brand.
Yes.
So one problem with resumes is they don't brag enough. Usually I worry about the other side of it, the people. Any other thoughts as you review these resumes, things that you've seen?
I mean, I think in the little experience that I've had in the Career Center, but as a recruiter, I think on both ends is students not realizing their skill sets that they're getting in the classroom and how they can apply that to the workforce. So they undersell themselves and don't realize that group projects can prepare you for a work environment when you're in a group team. So again, it's just more extrapolating what they already have done and finessing words and really just showing that you have done a lot already, even if it's just been through a classroom, that will prepare you for the workforce.
That's excellent. I do notice that our students tend to be humble, which is, I think, a wonderful quality, but it's not always the best strategy when you're looking for a job, to be sure. We were talking about industries, and I thought I heard earlier about an industry highlight. Are we doing something in the industry highlight world? And tell me what that means to you guys.
So it's actually been a really cool event that we've done every semester. We've done, it's called the Industry Spotlight series. Yeah, and we've done, in the past, we've done media and entertainment, we've done government, we've done biosciences, and this last fall semester, a few weeks ago, we did the Sports Industry Spotlight. I was sort of the event planner, or I guess coordinator of that. Really proud of it. It was a really exciting event. We had all 5 professional sport teams represented, and we had representatives from almost all of the 5 of the colleges across campus. So all those students that think, oh, sports industry is just business or just this or athletics, we were able to bring on an athletic trainer. We were able to bring on a reporter for the Chargers, the director of the Angels. I'm slipping mind of who was there, but we had almost 200 students show up, and really the light bulbs went on about, oh, I could work in sports, and that's the whole preface of why we did this, is to show your major is versatile, and you can do a lot with whatever your major is, so it's not kind of that beeline of what I think I can do with my major. So we were constantly trying to think of what's out there, what's the next industry that's going to be exciting for students to want to be a part of, and bring in employers to talk to them. And I'll let Rosa talk about what we're going to do in the spring.
Yeah, what are we doing in the spring?
So now we're going to showcase video game industry. Yes, I'm super excited. I remember my first video game was Pac-Man, so playing in the laundromat, nostalgia. But really, and I think one of the cool things about the Industry Spotlight is you actually get to see both our teams, the counseling and the employer engagement team, work together to really bridge those gaps in looking at first generation needs, programming to really focus on that, and then employer engagement side really informing us as career counselors. This is what the industry is saying. We should bring these speakers, these leaders in the industry to match what you are seeing in terms of gaps. So spring, I'm super excited. I'm working also with my employer engagement team counterpart and bringing in speakers to talk about not just how do you get into the industry, but also really getting into that real career talk, which is like things about mentorship, things about like what do you do, how do you stand out as an intern, like what are the things maybe are unspoken that we can share with you today in this industry spotlight. So I think it's like one of the unique things that we do that I really love, and I'm so excited to be a part of for the spring. So
well, the gaming industry is huge, as is the sports industry. I think it's an $8 billion that's a number that's a few years old, so it might be more by now. And I guess it's like I've read about Google. Google, of course, looks for engineers, but they hire a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the gaming is interesting in terms of the artistic and the screenwriting, the plot development. I can see many of the College of the Arts with their engineering friends and their graphic design and their film and electronic arts really being attracted to that.
Absolutely.
And it's certainly something that's not going to go away. No. I was also reminded as you spoke about we have a large group of students on campus who engage in esports. And of course that's the group that are kind of in competition with one another using these games. And I have been absolutely amazed at their meetings where they can attract 500, 1,000 students from all over the region to come who carrying their, So we've been exploring whether or not we should have an esport as part of our varsity, our Division I. Well, I guess they can't be Division I. They don't belong in NCAA as yet, but who knows? Who knows what might happen? But this is another way that you are obviously keeping our students abreast of not just what has been, the kind of careers their parents had or aunts and uncles, but really, what's happening in the future. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. So we have sports, and now we have video games, and more will happen. So what else? What else is
I was
happening?
just going to add actually another component to this event that I don't think they mentioned, which is just the partnership with faculty. And so we actually have a faculty member be the one speaking and interviewing the employer guests that are there that day. And so I think that's an important component to bring in. And then also partnerships with student organizations, right? And so so we try to bring in several components and multiple facets of the community to come in, and kind of tying back into that co-learning space we were talking about. It really is this exploratory space that's not focused so much on you're going to get a job at the end of this, but really what is this all about and how do I prepare myself? And so making sure that faculty engage with that, student organizations, and of course our student attendees too. So
That link to student organizations is so smart, I think, to do, because that really helps with the marketing, doesn't it? Because you know there is a person to talk to, representing whether it's a sorority, fraternity, or another one of our many organizations. And I can see everybody coming together, and then they can talk to each other about it and really deepen and enhance the learning in certain ways. So you are also the center, you've mentioned it earlier, but the Career Link, and you've mentioned LinkedIn. I'm a little bit more familiar with that, and that it's available to alums. I think that's a real service to our our 330,000 alums. Now, I know you said first year, but how many alums take part in, first year alums make use of the service?
Oh, that's a good question. A really high amount. I don't know the number off the top of my head. Yeah, but as far as at least accessing our services, we go to the grad fair to kind of share that information to make sure as they're getting their cap and gown that they know they don't have to stop working with us. And they receive our career newsletters, which is a weekly newsletter. And so all of our students receive that, as well as our recent alumni, so that they know weekly what's really happening in the center and how they can be participating, not only in our career fairs, but our on-campus interviews and presentations and industry spotlights, and even our appointments. So we try to keep them just as engaged, and really nothing changes from when they're a senior onto that first year.
Well, we certainly are on the right track, I think, in this, because I have heard leaders in higher ed now talk about not the 4-year curriculum, but the 60-year curriculum. How do we make our students ready for a really rapidly changing world of work, and at the same time keep connections with those alums who will also have to upgrade skills, change professions, just get more certificates perhaps, or earn some more badges in order to help them be successful over a long career. Well, thank you very much for being with me today. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot as well. Thanks for joining us. This has been an important element. This is one of the many important elements that we have on our campus to make sure our students can be ready for timely graduation and fulfilling careers following graduation, and have a home base to come back to frequently across their careers so that they can be successful over a lifetime. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.